more the gems this year, and this is one of those events that you're always glad to see because there is always value to be had when spending gems in this game, even if you're starting out the game or in the very early game, mid game, and to the very late game. And I'm gonna talk about how I approach the event over the time of my playing years and how I approach it now. I'm gonna show you how there are some better values to be had and how to spread the gems around, and what are some things that are best value and what are some things you avoid spending gems on during this event and probably in general, but on this event especially. So Water Gems is an event where you spend gems up to 25,000 gems across 2 days, so 50,000 gems, and it comes out every 4 weeks roughly. And to give you an idea on how to save up for the event, you can find this easier if you plan ahead and when you know when it's going to be into the game. And how do we do that? Well, there's an external source to help us do that, and you can find this in the King's Codex. In the King's Codex, I think we all know about now. It's a very everything rock related is in here, and it's very well made. And shout out to the people at King's Codex. But once you get to the rock link section, you find this events calendar. So shout out to the creator as well. It's a nice spreadsheet, and when you open it, this is how it looks like. You have all the events, all the possible events that are randomized, but also the ones that are pretty certain. But if you take a look at April, at the very end, we have more than gems right here, and it is accurate. Obviously, sometimes the game changes on its own, but this gives you a rough idea of when it's going to be in your server, and it gives you time to prepare. And this is especially helpful for someone who does alliance events like me. So I use this spreadsheet a lot to notify my alliance members ahead and to prepare myself for what's to come. So yeah, you can plan ahead right there. But now you have your gems and you're just not sure what to spend them on. Well, luckily there are a lot of options. There's a lot of creative options that you can do in this event. So obviously we're gonna go for things like VIP. In the early stages of VIP, it's fairly easy to get to another level, and it gets harder and harder by each tier. And I think the best way to do it is just to wait for more gems. You accumulate enough gems and just spend it all VIP to get to the next tier, especially if it's a good tier like VIP 10, 13, or even 16 and above. I plan to do this myself because it's generally good value and it gets me closer. So when I'm close to around 50k or something, I will focus all my gem spending on VIP to get it as soon as possible, because VIP is something that you get value every day out of, and in the long consistent basis it just gets even more and more valuable as time goes on. But from other things in the shop, I would not really recommend here speed ups as well. I think speed ups are more value in the discounted VIP shop, which we're going to talk about later. Same as everything here, you can get everything here discounted. Unless it's P shields, you can get some P shields here if you're not in alliance. It doesn't really spend credits. But this is what I'm going to be mostly spending your things on. In the early game, you might spend on arrow resistance to upgrade the watchtower. You might spend on the Book of a Covenant to upgrade the castle. And these massive blueprints, I remember saving up for these blueprints whenever more gems came around to upgrade my buildings to the max level, especially the resource buildings, which is going to give me more value over time. Arrows resistance are less appealing because you can get them from blowhards, you can get them from the RCF rewards, so obviously not something I would recommend spending on. Civilization changes, I think you get elsewhere. It's quite expensive and you don't really have to change civilizations frequently to come here and buy these. But you know, if you're like a garrison player, or you want to min-max during the off season to switch, so something like Germany for the extra training speed, AP, stuff like that, you can do it, but I think there are better ways to do it. Relic coins, I think, are not good value at all. I think they're quite expensive. 100 gems for just one coin seems very steep, even for a spender. So I would just clearly avoid it and get them elsewhere. Teleports are also not really valuable. You can get them from the Alliance shop and just better value. Now we come to the latest edition, which is the Conversion Stone, and this is what I spend my gems on today. And it's very debatable because it is 10,000 gems for one stone, and it's quite costly. But there is always a but. But if you're close to make a switch to a good formation, like the pincer formation right now, if you need like 2 or 3 stones, I think getting them with when more the gems comes around, I think it's good value. Because if you think about it on a bigger picture and bigger scale, if you switch to pincer, you'll probably get better reports, which is probably going to get you to use less speed ups, less resources, and in turn kind of even it out on a long enough time basis. So I think about it that way. And I need one more stone to make a switch, and I think I can get it in time. I don't have much time to get all these gems today, but possibly in the next one, which is when the next infantry is probably going to be introduced. In a month from now, we're going to be able to get the infantry commanders, but I'm going to be in the off season, so there is no rush for me personally. But for someone who is on the precipice of switching and you just need 1 or 2 stones to switch, I think this is good value. Like, because if you need 2, the way you can kind of spread it out is you buy 1 stone on the first day and you buy the second stone on the second day, because if you spend both, you're not going to be able to get to 25,000 gems, and the 12,000 gems is just really not exciting compared to the 7,000 gems bracket, because you can get, if you spread it across 2 days for 2 stones, you get 10 legendary sculptures, which I think is much better than getting 5 and some gold stars and some minimal amount of resources. I think you should always take in mind to either on day 1 you go for 25,000 gems or you go to 7,000 gems. I think these are the sweet spots. You don't need to go higher, and it's generally not as good value as the going full, like going above 7k. It's just not good value. Now, Conversion Stones, if you're close enough to an information, you can time it and get good value. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to do in the future as well. If I need like a couple more stones, I can always time it around things like this, because formations are the new power creep, especially with pincer formation. You kind of need these formations. But if you go into the discounted shop, you have more possibilities, and also depends how high your VIP level is. But luckily, the most good stuff are not locked behind high VIP. And the things that I bought before KVK is actually these 10% defense tokens. So I think getting these, so it's 750 a pop. I got all 10 of these, which is 7,500. So 500 gems overboard, but it gets you through the KVK, I think, easily, because it's 24-hour token. If you get 7 days of fighting across the KVK, I think that's a pretty good KVK. But in most cases nowadays, at least in my experience this year or past 2 years, it doesn't really go out that long. So I think this is a good value. You just buy it and forget about it for the next KVK. And I think I'm going to do that as well with each KVK coming forward. I think that I also bought are things like the legendary commander sculptures. And when I'm in a dire need of sculptures, I kind of mix it around. I buy 3 sculptures, which ends up at 6,000 gems, and to get the last 1,000 for the 7,000 gems, I think I just buy the epic choice chest, which gets me 200 gems overboard, but it's half a legendary material. I think it's worth the price. But also, if you don't need sculptures, you can also get the full equipment choice chest, It is a bit steep, but you can spread it across 2 days, like I mentioned. You can buy 10, for example. You can buy 12 on the first day, and the second day you're gonna have 1800 gems worth of materials. But then you can also spend it on things like speed ups to even it out. You can spend on the 8-hour, but if you have a higher VIP, you can spend it on the 24-hour speed ups because it's a better value. Also, if you want more speed ups, what you can do is you can buy 10 of these on day 1, which is 6,000 gems. And then maybe if you're lucky to find in a courier station, you can buy a 70% discounted troop expansion for 1,500 gems. So it's kind of like 7,500 gems. And you can always mix and match. That's what I like about this event. Now, I always struggle with expansions. That struggle is alleviated once the Sirens League comes, when you can get those 50% expansions from the oil shop. But I usually spend them much faster than the 24-hour defense tokens. So what I bought in the past is I bought either 3 of these expansions, or if I'm lucky to find it in a courier shop for 70% discount, I would buy that. So I will get 2 of these or 3 of these. No, I'll get 2 of these. I will get 70% discounted, and I will just get 1 epic choice chest for materials, which ends me up at 7,100 gems. So 100 gems overboard the 7k gem award. But as I said, it's value, and it's always something you're going to need, especially if you're going into the late game where you're probably much more bottlenecked by the materials rather than something like the commander sculptures to upgrade the equipment, make the equipment, or even refine the equipment. So as time goes on, your priorities might change, but the value of this event is still unprecedented, especially if you plan ahead with the events calendar. You know exactly what you're going for, and you adjust it to your needs at the time. If you're going into KVK and you're low on expansions, you buy the expansions. If you're low on the defense tokens, you buy the defense tokens once, and you're pretty much good to go. If you're low on speed ups, you buy the speed ups. If you're low on equipment choice chest, you mix and match to get to the desired tier events. Remember, it's 7k gems per day or 25k gems per day. So obviously, it depends on how much you have at the time, how much you need at the time. But as always, this is a great value event. I remember how happy I was to log in and to find this event live, because at the time there was no calendar to look forward to. I didn't know the schedule, but it's always a happy sight to see the possibility of having more value to do what I'm already doing. So I think this event is one of the really cool events in the game that are always going to be good no matter what. And with all that said, let me know in the comments what you buy with your precious gems, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.